One of my goals for the summer was to build a new EDH deck. EDH, for those who don't know, is short for Elder Dragon Hierarchy, and is one of the many Magic the Gathering formats. I started creating this deck in my mind the second I picked a general, in this case Bruna, Light of Alabaster. Obviously, the deck will have a large focus on enchantments, but I also wanted a strong angel theme. I did research, looked through my own cards, and asked my friends for suggestions, then compiled everything together. I also made and cut out proxy cards, because I need to see everything in order for it to really make sense to me. Next, it was time to sort every card into piles based on what type they are. The two largest piles are creatures and enchantments. Even this was not enough sorting, though, because enchantments themselves needed to be separated. Auras, which are the cards that Bruna deals with, had to be taken out of the rest of the group and then divided into cards that are best used on the opponent's creatures, and cards that should be used on my creatures but are not useful for enchanting Bruna. The auras that I want to enchant her are the most important, and therefore what I spend the most time with. I try to sort the auras based on how useful they'll be in the deck. This means that a card like Vow of Flight will get bumped down in power level because my general already has flying, whereas Ethereal Armor will get bumped up because it boosts enchantments. There are also cards such as Call to Serve and Angelic Destiny which will get bumped up in the rankings because they fit the angel theme. As Mark Rosewater always says, it's not your theme if it's not at common, or I guess in this case, it's not my theme unless it permeates every type of card in the deck. In the end, I'll have a pile that ranges from Flight at the very bottom to Eldrazi Conscription at the very top. When I pick my cards, I'll be able to take off the top of this pile until I have the number of auras that I want. The nice thing about Bruna is that the mana cost of each enchantment doesn't matter too much. The other aura piles will go to the side for now. I can draw from them if I'm short on cards. The pile of non-targeting enchantments can be easily separated into yes, no, and maybe. Next, I look at the creatures, which I sort into piles based on what matches the angel theme, what plays well with enchantments, and everything else, as well as a special group of creatures that are also enchantments. I start with the group of others since it'll be easier to eliminate cards from there. I also know that a lot of the other angel and aura-based creatures are expensive, and therefore know that this group needs cheap creatures with evasion, or creatures that serve other purposes, and unfortunately meant saving good cards like Drugskull Reaver for another day. Then it was on to the angels, which, while all on theme by type, I sorted based on how useful they'd be to the deck. Herald of War is a lot more useful in this case than Angel of Flight Alabaster. I also made sure to put Emancipation Angel near the top because she's one of my favorites. The aura-based creatures I organized based on the way in which they interacted with enchantments. It was hard to rate them, so I just left them separated by ability. That way I could take a mix of them. The bigger groups out of the way, I ranked the other smaller piles. Clearly on-theme cards such as Moon Silver Spear, Three Dreams, and Entreat the Angels rose to the top. I only chose one instant, but made sure to leave room for counterspells since I knew this deck would have little to no other defense against enchantment hate. I added up all the cards that I was dealing with, and in the end I had about 100 cards vying for 60 spots. I know the auras are the most important part of the deck, so I save them for last and start working on trimming down the other piles, especially the creatures. I use dice to keep track of how many I cut out of each pile so I can easily add them all up at any time. The auras are definitely the hardest to cut down, but finally, I have 60 cards sitting in front of me. I add them to the box, add 40 land cards, including a few special ones, add angel tokens, a kiss for good luck, and then let the general look over her army. So Geeks in Training, are you ready to play?